Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ Thailand Ten, từ chơi Scout, Logistics và Warehouse. Xem hình thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.
Today, we've got a guest who is one of the favorite speakers at the Sell and Scale Summit, and he was actually voted the favorite speaker of the $1 Billion Seller Summit. Make sure to stay to the end because he's got some amazing strategies for how to do Google ads, get reviews, and much more. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Tired of waiting 2 weeks to get your Amazon payouts? Wouldn't you rather get your payouts every day if it was possible? Or maybe you're interested in a line of credit for thousands, tens of thousands, even up to $1 million depending on what you qualify to help fund your next Amazon orders. You can do these things and more with Alta by Helium 10. For more information, go to h10.me/Alta, A-L-T-A. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. We've got a serious seller here on the line with us today. I believe this is his second or third time in the podcast. Leo, how's it going?
Hey, Bradley. It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing just delightful, thanks. Now, where are you located right now?
I'm actually in Toronto right now for 2 more months, maybe 1.5, actually. I'm moving to Florida December 1st.
Everybody's moving to Florida. They don't care about the hurricanes and stuff. It's like Florida, the nice tax situation and other things there, huh?
Hey, look, the weather, compared to Canada is definitely much better. So, it would be probably the first time for me dealing with the hurricanes, but, it definitely, I look forward to now spending the next winter here for sure.
Yes. Depends on point of view, I guess. Me personally, I prefer I prefer snow as opposed to hot and humid, like sometimes Florida gets, but hey, to each their own. Now, speaking of hot places, not humid, but the last time we saw each other in person was just a few weeks ago in Vegas, and you spoke at Sell and Scale Summit. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't attend your speech, and I heard it was really good, but we're going to talk a little bit about that today. The last time I heard you speak was at $1 Billion Seller Summit. I'm wearing the old school $1 Billion Seller Summit t-shirt or polo shirt today from Kevin King. The next one's actually in Puerto Rico. That's going to be really cool to come to. But I think didn't you get voted for favorite speaker of the $1 Billion Seller Summit?
Yeah, that's right. I actually won the best speaker, which was pretty cool. I like this contest where are the attendees that are actually voting instead of the actual organizer. It feels more fair, I would say. So winning that $1 Billion Summit meant a lot to me for sure.
That's cool. Now, you didn't pay to speak at $1 Billion Seller Summit or Sell and Scale, right?
No, absolutely not.
It's funny. I hear people talking about that, sometimes on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, all speakers, they pay. I'm like, well, there's sponsored, there's some sponsored slots, but they only get to speak for 10 minutes, at $1 Billion Seller Summit. And then, maybe at some events, but for the most part, people who speak like me, I don't pay to speak at an event. I'm just invited, but just in general, how you've been to, I don't know, probably 30 conferences in your time here in the e-commerce world. How was this, our first Sell and Scale for you?
Look, Bradley, it was actually, an amazing event, in few words, but I was surprised and pleased to see the level of organization, the details that went into the show. The organization overall from the beginning to the end of the show was impeccable. I know that there was a lot of work that has been put into it, but I was really amazed by especially the networking part of the event. I really enjoyed a few sessions as well. I will definitely go back if you invite me to speak again. It'll be my pleasure. But I think for everyone that missed the show, definitely try to make it next year.
Yep.
Is by far one of the best ones. And look, the industry has become a lot more mature. And looking at the space now with this type of events, it makes you really feel like you're in the right place for sure.
Cool. Appreciate that. And yes, hopefully we can get you to speak even though you're not paying us to do that, but to speak at the next one. Now, before we get into your topic that you went over, which I think was, I saw some of the slides, even though I didn't hear it, so I think was pretty cool. I just wanted to, talk a little bit about, you mentioned talking about the industry, and you've been around for a while. You have your own, software company, and you've worked, for some of the biggest ones like Viral Launch, in the past. And so I just, you have a unique viewpoint, and there's no right or wrong answer here, but I'm just going to, present something to you, because it's a question that I get, sometimes. And people ask, like, hey, what do you think of the competitors, out there for like Helium 10? Like, Jungle Scout kind of is pretty much the only competitor, at least in this space, for the last few years. And I remember when I first joined Helium 10, we were just kind of like one of the new kids on the block. It was kind of like, Jungle Scout and then Viral Launch. And then the last 2 years, Viral Launch doesn't, it doesn't have much of a kind of like an impact these days. Jungle Scout kind of like really went down as far as the market penetration, I would say. Like, for example, the active users of Chrome extension, Helium 10 hit 900,000 last week. I think Jungle Scout's like at 400,000, but there's almost like no other competitor even like in the conversation. Like it's Helium 10, and then there's Jungle Scout, and then that's pretty much it. But how do you, like, when you were at Viral Launch and stuff, like, how do you view competition? Like, one aspect of it, like in this space, is kind of like, and I remember this, like when we were trying to catch up to Jungle Scout, or when we caught up and then they were still like innovating all the time, it was kind of fun, cause like hey, like we better get this out, because Jungle Scout's gonna come out with something first, or something like that, or Viral Launch is gonna have this new feature, or look what Viral Launch just did. Like competition, I think, spurs innovation. Not to say like we haven't really had any competitors, Helium 10, like in the last 2 years, not to, but we've still been innovating. But in this space, like, how do you view, is it a good thing that that there's a lot of people vying for the top space, or is it bad that it's pretty much only been Helium 10 at the top for a couple of years, or what's your viewpoint on this kind of thing?
Bradley, this is a very interesting and kind of sensitive topic, if you allow me to say so. For me, competition is, in my opinion, is very important for the space, especially for sellers. When you look at what happened in the past few years, right, especially like when this ecosystem was born around 2014, 15, when everyone kind of got into the Amazon space, you're right. We had three major players. You guys, Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, right? Yep. Back then, the Chrome extension was one of the best, I guess, tools at the time, right? That allow you to quickly, analyze the search results page and see how many sales, your competitors were making. And over time, things evolved, right? And Amazon started giving us a little bit of data themselves, right? Data became a little bit more accurate on their end as well. And, on our end as software providers, we were always trying to, provide the best tools to Amazon sellers, trying to identify those like hidden kind of secret endpoints to get the data from. And then, over time, when this data became kind of like harder to find, or when Amazon closed kind of the pipes, that's when you started seeing a shift in the space. Those people that were really good at innovating, they kept innovating. Yeah. And those that were just using data that was, washed and kind of like stolen by from other competitors or other software providers, they kind of like slowly disappeared. Now, I'm not saying that, the story with Viral Launch is totally different, right? Our good friend Casey, unfortunately, he had to leave the company. But with regards to Jungle Scout, I've seen kind of like them stopped innovating, stopped doing a lot of, like the cool stuff they were kind of known for. While you guys, I believe you release something new every week or so, right? Yeah. So
at least every month we have that bigger, better launch that we do, where we launch about 5 to 10 things. So yeah, average maybe one thing a week, kind of.
Yeah. So from an Amazon seller perspective, you guys offer a lot of value. Right, you're loyal to your customers. The customers are loyal to you. There is a good relationship there, and that's what a software company should be doing. Now, when it comes to competition, though, it's good to see what other players are doing. It gives you a little bit more motivation to like always, build that new feature, build that something new. And you guys have seen you been launching, like Amazon attribution, some other stuff, like ways to filter better your data, like with Cerebro, you're always trying to innovate there. Like, that's what competition helps with, right?
Sure.
It makes you always, surprise your customers in obviously a good way when it comes to delivering good software. The thing is that I'm afraid in the space, there isn't enough innovation, from a competitive perspective, right? Like, or innovative minds, if you will. And so, for you guys, it's an advantage because you've been around for a long time, the Amazon space very, very well. And so you can keep innovating and then, surprising us with a bunch of cool stuff and cool gadgets, while for the competition, it's kind of harder to catch up. And for a seller right now, things have become a lot more complex. The industry has matured. And so you cannot just run a business or an Amazon, become a successful Amazon seller with a Chrome extension. You need a lot of data, a lot of analysis, like the keyword research and listing optimization and keyword tracking and PPC. You have to be good at so many different things. And so that suite of tools, I think that's what really, helps sellers today. And to replicate that is not that easy.
Let me ask you something. And this is why I struggle just internally kind of conceptualizing. It's like, for example, what's your favorite sports team in the world, regardless of the sport? I don't know what your favorite sport is. Is it soccer or?
Yeah. Of course, I'm Italian. I have to go for Italy, right?
Inter Milan or what's your team?
AC Milan is my favorite, yes.
AC Milan. Okay. So, you're a diehard AC Milan fan. Your rival is Inter Milan. It's not like one person's life is better by following one team as opposed to the other. And like, obviously, AC Milan would be nothing if there was no, what's it called? Serie A is the league, right? Like if there was no league and there was no company, like it's kind of useless to even have like AC Milan. So it's like in sports and things like that, competition is necessary. It's what makes things fun. But then when we talk about like, software companies or things where, like, for example, what I struggle with sometimes is I agree with you, like the competition is important, but I'm just wondering, like, like right now, or like in the beginning of Helium 10, like when we first started, Jungle Scout was way better than us. Because, like when Manny started, he started like Frankenstein and Scribbles and like maybe Chrome extension or something. So you could almost argue that if you stopped using Jungle Scout and start using Helium 10, you could potentially be doing damage to your business, because Jungle Scout just had more tools. The flip might be true right now. Like if you stop using Helium 10 and you go back to Jungle Scout or maybe another smaller tool out there, like you literally would be doing damage to your business because you're not going to have the data and the, all the tools and stuff. But at the same time, like you said, competition is important. So like what should, like there's affiliates out there, maybe an affiliate who has a affiliate of Helium 10 who has a course, or they have a, big Facebook community or YouTube audience. And it's like, like competition is important. We don't have like exclusive, like, hey, if you're an affiliate of Helium 10, you can never, mention any other tool. But if I think about it, it's like, if they're suggesting to their course people, you know what, you maybe you should use, Jungle Scout again, or maybe you should use this. Like, to me, that's almost like them doing damage to that customer if they're not using Helium 10. So like, for coming from me, working for Helium 10, it might sound like being a homer, but I'm just trying to be a realist. So like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it comes down to the seller itself, right? The seller right now should be, I guess, careful, first of all, and smart enough to understand what's good for their business. Because like you said, you can potentially damage your business if you look at the wrong data, right? And so when it comes to understanding what software works best for you, I think you should, first of all, like, a lot of people ask me, Leo, what's the best course out there? What should I really follow? Like, there are so many gurus out there that, perhaps they didn't really make it on Amazon, or they didn't even sell anything, and now they're selling their knowledge, right? Because that's all they have. That's how they can make money. And I respect that. But I wouldn't trust these people when it comes to giving me an advice on what software is best for me, right? The software is best for me is the software that gives me enough data. I really need to understand. I always advise sellers to learn this business inside out. Like in order to be a good leader, a good boss, a good CEO in your company, and build a good team, you need to really understand how to sell on Amazon, how this business works. That's how you can hire people. I always say this, like a lot of sellers that have made some money, but they didn't really understand how. Like they had a couple of home runs, right? We all know these people. They eventually find problems, and they throw people at problems, right? They go to the Philippines, they hire a bunch of people. The problem is that 6 months later they come back and say, "Oh, I still have this issue," right? And the reason is that they didn't really find the source of that problem, right? Because they didn't know themselves to begin with. And so I think number one, sellers should really understand how this business works. You should really understand what data looks good, what data is actually accurate, versus the data that is probably just packaged to look nice. A lot of people I know, they still look at the search volume as the main metric. In my opinion, that's wrong, right? You need to see the conversion rate and click share and the purchase share. Those are the metrics that matter today. And so when it comes to these communities that are coming up and people that say, "Oh, well, you should use this software instead," the marketing message today is, we want you to be successful, right? But the truth is that the seller itself should be reading through those lines and understand, is this good for me? Because if 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you can even give me a software for $20 a month. That's fine. I save a lot of money. But what's the ROI on that, right? If you're able to see that the data is great and you're getting good results with it and it's comparable, then okay, go for it, right? Why not? Yeah, that's my opinion when it comes to that. And there are so many softwares out there. Everyone, and today, the software that you see is much better than the software we saw in 2015. It's because we have access to a lot more data, right? But you and I know very well that maintaining servers and the technology is very, very, very expensive. And so if you don't have enough customers like you guys do, it becomes, you start saving on the data accuracy kind of components, right? Instead of just, choosing the platform that has a better UI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So guys, I guess, this is, kind of unique. I'm talking about this a lot, but I think it's important, because, people have been asking me more and more, for a while, Helium 10 has just been kind of by itself, but then, some people come out of the woodwork and still say they use Jungle Scout or another new up and coming tool. But at the end of the day, it's different strokes for different folks, but you got to do what's best for your business. And with our team, if there's something that somebody else has, Helium 10 doesn't have, come to us. We can probably get it done. But at the end of the day, you choose to go somewhere else. Well, that's your decision. Now, going back to what you were talking about, sell and scale. Back in the day, there was all kinds of stuff that was legal, and now it's not legal. Be it incentivized reviews. Back in the day was legal. Search, find, buy, rebates, two-step URLs, all okay before. Now illegal compared to Amazon terms of service. One thing I believe you mentioned at $1 Billion Summit and Sell and Scale is that there are still big players out there still engaging in some of this gray or even black hat. And while it's not suggested that we do that, it's important sometimes to know what's going on, just to kind of know what competitors out there are doing. So what kind of black hattery, and this is why I particularly today wore a white hat instead of my black hat. But what kind of black hattery do you still see out there here at the end of 2022 on Amazon?
Bradley, in my presentation at Sell and Scale and the $1 Billion Sales Summit, one of the slides that was, I guess, the most more appealing, more successful was the one that explained and showed how sellers are currently asking for reviews, even though it's against the TOS. So yes, to your point, Amazon is saying, hey, that's it. Here's the red light. But a lot of sellers, in order to be in business, they have to do what they have to do. And what I see on my end is still a lot of inserts going to more custom solutions. Before it used to be just ManyChat. Now they're building their own landing pages, their own type form kind of funnels. and they drive traffic over there. And the more sophisticated one that I've seen is actually like someone that had built a mobile app that you had to install if you wanted to use their product. And it was very interesting because I couldn't really understand how they were getting so many reviews. And so I purchased their product. And then 3 weeks later, I was using it. Like, I didn't see any inserts in the packaging. I was really surprised and shocked. And I was really wondering how they were able to get so many reviews. And then 3 weeks later, as I was using the app, I actually got a push notification on the phone that asked to rate the product. And when I clicked on share feedback, I thought they were going to send me to the App Store, right? Because that's normally how apps.
Oh yeah,
ask
yeah.
on the App Store.
The
right?
App Store yeah. Okay, I get it.
For yes, that's right. For Android is the Google Play or Amazon. For Apple is the App Store. And so when I clicked on it, I actually ended up going to the share, like rate your.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon. Skyrock cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ Thailand Thêm, từ cho dầu cao, logistics và warehouse. Xem hình thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.
Product page on Amazon, and I was like,
that by itself is not necessarily against terms of service, right? Or do you think that is?
They didn't ask me to give a 5-star review. So yeah. So to your point, no, technically it's not against the terms of service, but the way they did it was very, very
shady.
Well, yes, but interesting and sophisticated at the same time.
Yeah,
because I couldn't really understand how they were getting reviews until 3 weeks later when a push notification came up on my phone. So I thought that was very, very good. But you can do that only if you have, if you're in the electronic space, you have a reason for your customers to install a mobile app. Otherwise, majority of sellers are still asking for a review through inserts. And a lot of them are collecting, actually building an audience. Instead of just asking for a review, they have a form where you give them your phone number, email, and address, everything that they need to remarket you. And, Bradley, frankly speaking, there's also a lot going on the traditional marketing, like direct mail. A lot of sellers are still able to, mail their customers, asking customers for review that way. And that is interesting because it's kind of harder to detect unless you're buying the product and you receive a postcard in your mail, asking for a review. And that's why that's where sellers kind of evolved with, and that's what they're doing.
Guys, that's stuff that you should stay away from. Amazon purposely tries to hide the addresses of buyers, but if you're finding a way around that, that's not, they find that out, that's not something they'll be happy about. Now for launch, a lot of companies, most companies that were in this space for search, find, buy, or super URLs or two-step URLs, don't have that business model anymore. Now, me personally, I switched to 100% to kind of like PPC, launches. But you in your presentations talked about how your method of launching is actually mainly on Google Ads. So my first question is, I think before everybody has always understood that if you're ranking organically on Google and somebody clicks on it after a Google search, and then that's the keyword that somebody lands on your listing on Amazon, that you're going to get like rank juice or some bump a little bit. But then in the past, at least, some, not many, but I heard a couple of people say, I'm not sure if it was Anthony or who said it, but that when they were examining URLs from Google Ads, that they thought that the keyword would not transfer over. But I remember a slide specifically, you gave a $1 billion summit, and you actually did tests, and you showed a Helium 10 keyword tracker where you were running Google Ads for a keyword, and then you did see a bump in Amazon keyword rank for that keyword. Did I understand that correctly?
That is correct, Bradley. We wanted to test this because we were always wondering if, technically speaking, this was actually doable. Because if you're technical and you understand how attribution works, you probably know that it's impossible to track the search query on Google unless that search query is being passed over to the website or to the landing page, and you have some sort of analytics. Now you will know that with Amazon you cannot install any analytics, right? It's not your website.
Sure.
If you own a Shopify store, yes, of course you can do that. And with the attribution, you cannot get the search query unless you're doing it through Google Ads and you're passing in the campaign ID and everything dynamically using what they call the macro tags. But if you send just traffic from Google to your landing page without using any links or any attribution links, technically speaking, is impossible for Amazon to know what keyword the user searched on Google. Well, we did the test. We were just advertising on Google, and we created an exact match campaign, and we drove traffic. We didn't do anything else with the landing page. We didn't change the titles. We didn't change images. We just kept everything as it was, just so that we could attribute changes to only this Google campaign.
So hold on. The campaign, what link was in the campaign? A link to a landing page or to an Amazon storefront?
To a landing page, to a product page.
Oh, to the actual Amazon product page?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Was it an attribution link or just the product page link?
The canonical URL, yes.
The canonical URL. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Continue.
Yeah, and so when we started driving traffic, it took a while, but I think it was a couple of weeks later, we started seeing that that keyword that we were advertising on Google started ranking higher on Amazon. And we went, I think, from position 47 to position 13 with the first keyword. And then the other one, I think, was position 28. We went position number 7. We ended up position number 7. And so we assumed after this test that Amazon is able to detect the keyword, the search query that was actually searched on Google. Now, don't ask me how they're doing this, if they have some sort of collaboration in the back end, but it seems that they're able to see this data.
Okay.
And if we get some technical listeners here, eventually, I'd like to, them to hit me up and follow up, because it's an interesting conversation. I'd like to even learn more myself on how this is possible. But yeah, it was really surprising to see that this is actually how things are working today. When it comes to sending traffic from Google to Amazon. And this is why it's probably one of the best ways today. I've ranked a bunch of keywords lately just using Google Ads.
One interesting thing that you showed, and I have literally zero experience in Google Ads. Now Helium 10 is doing Google Ads just kind of in beta. It's not even out, but I volunteered the coffin shelf to be a part of it. So I actually paid $500 for it, but I haven't even looked at like our team was handling everything. I still have never made my own Google ad once in my life. It's something I definitely have to do. But one thing I didn't know was possible, and then you had a slide on, was where you're giving that final URL. Let's just say it's the actual product, the product listing, or maybe an attribution link or whatever. But you can actually, the one that displays in the ad, the URL that displays in the ad, you can put whatever you want there, but it's just like a vanity thing. Is that, because I didn't hear what you said, so I just saw this screenshot. I'm like, but that's what it seemed like you were showing.
Yeah. So Google allows you to pretty much enter in the display URL anything after your domain name. So, for example, if you're running a 30% off campaign on your product, or you have a coupon that gives your customers a 30% off, you can actually display that in your Google Ads. And so the destination URL will be domain.com, and then you have /promo/30% off. And that's pretty cool, because you can actually use that to increase your click-through rates, right? With Google Ads, it's all about increasing click-through rates, and so you get a better cost per click, and eventually the quality score improves, right? And so if you do use all these features that Google offers, like the display URL, the callouts, you can make your ads super, super contextually relevant to the query that the user is typing in on Google, and you can get some pretty good results with that.
All right, another thing, I had a question that since I didn't hear the presentation, I have no idea what this is, and maybe you mentioned in $1 Billion Seller Summit, but my memory is bad these days, because I'm not doing some biohacking. Maybe we'll have some time to talk about some of your biohacking things too. But
yeah.
Dynamic keyword insertion. What the heck is that, and how does that relate to Google Ads?
Dynamic keyword insertion is, again, a feature that Google gives you that allows you to pretty much replace the title in the ad copy with the search query that the customer or the user typed on Google. And so if you're selling silicone spatula, like red silicone spatula, for example, and your ad says, buy red silicone spatula today on Amazon, if the user typed hard plastic, red silicone spatula instead, right? Mm-hmm. You can use that query and replace it dynamically in the title, so that the title now becomes more relevant to the search query. So instead of saying buy red silicone spatula, now your title will say buy hard plastic, red silicone spatula. So now the contextually that ad is way more relevant to the search query. And so the hope is that the user will click your ad first, because it contains exactly the keywords that they typed in on Google.
What's some other tips with how we set up our Google Ads so that it has the most bang for the buck, whether we're talking about on Amazon or maybe just helping our click-through rate or conversion rate from the actual Google ad itself?
Yeah, Bradley, one feature that nobody seems to know, but it's available there. So when you're building an ad, if you type in like the curly bracket, you can see that Google shows you some features that are available, like those dynamic features that are available. And so you see that one of them is called countdown. The countdown feature is one of my favorite ones, because you can actually put into your ad a real countdown. And countdowns, we know they're really cool when we see them on the landing pages, for example, because they give you urgency, right? It's kind of like, you act now, you get 20%. It's only valid until like 6 p.m. today, and then it's 5:59 and 5:58, right? And so when you see that actually on Google and the Google Ads, that's super powerful. The user is searching for this keyword, they're looking for a product, and then in your ad now you're saying this offer is only available until 5:59 today, and then it starts, the countdown is kind of live. That's one of the best features that you can use, and it's for free. You don't have to pay any more money to use that with your Google Ads. And the other thing is they have callouts, which are also free. And they're just additional, like pieces of text that you can add to your ad copy. For example, on Amazon, we normally, the fifth bullet point or the sixth, whatever many you have, normally says, money back guarantee, right? Like get your money back if you don't like our product. So now you can use that and put it in your Google Ads. You can say 100 money back guarantee. That's free. And, you can say ship in 24 hours, like all this kind of stuff that you think might get the customer to click on your ad, they can be added to your ad for free. And they show at the bottom of your ad. Again, it makes your overall, amount of room that you take on the Google search results page much bigger. So you have a lot more real estate. And the last one is the image of your product. Recently, Google added this feature that allows you to add your product image to a Google ad. And so that's super, super cool, because instead of getting that click and potentially get a bounce back to Google because your listing sucks and maybe your image is not good, you can actually put the same image that you have on your landing page there on Amazon into the Google ad. And so that instead of letting the customer guess after the click if that's the product they're looking for, they can already make the decision right there if that's the product that they're looking for, or they're looking for, and then eventually click on the ad. So you're saving a potential, click, irrelevant click, right?
Yeah.
And improving your click-through rates if you have great images.
Super interesting. All right. I mean,
Yeah.
Google Ads, we're just scratching the surface here, guys. This is, I hate doing, predictions or whatever, like none of us really know anything what's going to happen. Towards the end of the year, you always, all right, what's your 2023 predictions? But if you were to force me to make a prediction, I would say, Google Ads will be used by 3x the amount of Amazon sellers that is using 2022. I just see next year that this is going to play a much more important role, not just for humongous sellers, but even newer sellers. I think it's almost going to be necessary to keep up with the competition to use Google Ads. Now, I want to get back to some of your 30-second tips, some strategies you can give. But before there, your current company, your company you've had ever since the last time you had on this podcast, ConvoMat, a lot of it I know has to do with ManyChat, and maybe some people think that, hey, automated messaging, all of that is now extinct because once search, find, buy, and getting people to to do reviews in a certain way and manipulating things, like those are what ManyChat and automated messages were used for. And now all of that is against the rules. So like, how in the world can ConvoMat, still survive? But you're focused not on those things, but what kind of things are sellers in your network and other people using like these automated messages like ManyChat for, if not, for these black hat things that other people used to use them for?
Yeah, Bradley, I'm glad that you asked this question, because a lot of sellers have known ConvoMat as this automation marketing platform, which did allow, up until November last year when the TOS changed, sellers to automate a lot of the order verifications and checking, like automating the messages with their customers. Although chatbots are still being used a lot to automate the customer service conversations, which are completely fine and compliant to the TOS, because Amazon doesn't want you to send your customers off of Amazon, but you run a business, you need to do customer service. The customer eventually reaches out to the company when they need support, when they need help with anything, and so automating the conversations until when perhaps manual intervention is required is very critical as well, because it just makes you a much better company from a customer service perspective. So we'll still see a lot of sellers using this automation to, if the customer comes in because they need, they're trying to claim their warranty, or they're trying to figure out how the product works. And so there's a lot that you can automate there. But when Amazon changed the TOS, we have decided to pivot, and ConvoMat is actually being, in beta, released right now in beta. But the new version, which we're going to call it ConvoMat Connect, it's actually all about influencer marketing. And so we understood that influencers are by far the best way to push products, to have more control over your brand and how you generate sales, and this 100% compliant. When you see Amazon is even giving us the cash back, right? That brand referral bonus. And I had a call with Amazon actually last week where they are pushing this even more. And so we want to help now sellers build these networks with more technology. So what we built in the past, which had become kind of against the TOS, we're kind of repurposing it more to communicate now with influencers instead, and helping brands to build their own networks and their own audiences. This way, if you have to launch more products in the future, you don't have to worry about, doing again a Facebook campaign to ManyChat, which is against the TOS. You can tap into your own network. You ask your influencers for product feedback if you are designing a new packaging. So everything that comes with having your own network, that's really what I think the opportunity is, and where sellers should definitely put a little bit of focus on.
All right, so influencer marketing, you just mentioned. Do you have like favorite, social medias or favorite places where you want influencers to be promoting, Amazon sellers' products on?
Bradley, we just launched the product about a month and a half ago, and we were doing traditional promotions, and then we started tapping into both Instagram and TikTok, and and we were doing an average of 20, 25 units a day. And then all of a sudden we did 120 one day. Wow. And that was only with, one influencer, which wasn't even that big, promoting our product, and that was on TikTok. And so right now, I think TikTok is probably my favorite, my preferred channel. And simply because the way that the algorithm works on TikTok is, much better than Instagram if you are a new creator, right? TikTok, for example, doesn't care how many followers you have. They just care about your content. And so as long as your content is engaging, your video can go viral. And so it's about the, the instructions that you give to the TikTok creator, and the creativity of that specific creator. But if that video is super cool and engaging and is fun, it potentially can go viral. You can run out of stock. Mm-hmm. That's what we hope for. But so I would say TikTok's my first one, first choice, and then Instagram. Okay.
Now, we always, just like last time, we close our episodes with a TST 30-second tip, but I want to do like 2 or 3, total. Now it could be about influencer marketing, could be about automated messaging, could be about getting reviews, could be about launch, could be about Google ads, could be about whatever you want, but let's do 2 or 3 depending on how much time we have left here. What's your first strategy for everybody out there?
First strategy, I will say it's about keywords. Don't go after just search volume. Dig really deep into your favorite, keyword tool. If you're using Cerebro, try to understand what are the keywords that are actually converting best. Sometimes, like what I do normally, export on Excel, and then I find that there are some keywords that are getting a lot of higher search volume, but the conversion rate is very low. And then I find some other ones that are really, really low search volume, but they're getting like 24, 25% conversion rate. And when I calculate the numbers, I see that I can get more sales from those low search volume keywords than the ones that I'm, I sorted by search volume first. And so tip number 1 is like try to focus on the keywords that make most money based on conversion rate. I guess I can give another tip on reviews. Something that worked very well for us was using Vine. And Vine needs to be used in a certain way to be successful. One thing that I learned is that Vine reviewers actually pay taxes when they order products over $600 or overall $600. So Amazon just gives them this, tax notice. And so if you have products that you send to Vine that are not worth their while or their taxes they have to pay on that, they probably won't redeem it. And so when you develop a product, considering that now it's very hard to get reviews and Vine is really the only option that we have, think about that as well. Like cheap products are, a no-brainer for them. Grocery are free. They can get as many grocery items without paying any taxes. So if you sell groceries, they can get, you can get a lot of Vine reviews, and they can redeem those for free. And if you decide to go regardless with the product you have in mind, what I suggest is, and this is kind of like maybe a grayish, if you will, Bradley, but we send, the first 50, 100 items in a nicer kind of packaging, simply because we want to deliver a much better experience to these Vine reviewers. They care about the product, the packaging. They're very critical. And so we want to make a really good impression. Now, it doesn't mean that, after these products have been redeemed, we change the packaging. Now, the packaging is the same, but we perhaps put it in another gift box. Or, you cannot ship to them using the gift wrapping, the Amazon default option. But, you get the point. The point is to give them a packaging that looks a little bit more appealing and it's nicer. And you most likely will get, the 5-star reviews compared to the 3 or 4 that, they typically give you because of their level of criticism. So I would say these are my top tips at the moment.
All right. Well, how can people find you on the interwebs out there if they want to, pick your brain a little bit more or find out more about Convomat, et cetera?
Yeah, they can reach out to me through LinkedIn. LinkedIn, Leos Govio is my handle, same as Facebook. I'm always on these two channels mainly. And my email is leo@combomat.com.
All right, awesome. Well, Leo, thank you so much for joining us today, leaving us these insights. We'll save the biohacking for next episode, but I remember you telling me at $1 Billion Seller Summit some crazy things based on some crazy thing that you found out there, and you were all of a sudden bench pressing more than you ever have in your whole life right after you got injured, like a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So we have enough material for a full another episode. We'll have to talk about what we'll do is you'll have to get me on some of that stuff now, and then a year from now I'll come on,
right.
50 pounds less and twice as strong, and then can talk about how you helped me with that.
I love that. Sounds good.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Anh chị đang bán hàng trên Amazon, Skyrock cung cấp các dịch vụ dành cho các nhà bán hàng trên Amazon với mức giá cực kỳ ưu đãi. Như đăng ký brand với USPTO, từ PHÂN, từ trường cao, logistics và warehouse. Xem thêm thông tin chi tiết dưới phần mô tả nhé.